Okay, we're still working on the K181 8-horse Kohler. See what else we can put together today. We got to put the valves in, which is really not that complex, but it takes a little patience to get the keepers on them. So let me get my valve over here. Let's see, here's my valve. Here we go. Okay, so this here is my intake valve, which is brand new, as you can see, with the brand new valve seat cut in it and all bead blasted inside there and everything. So let's put this in. That's the easy part. Now we got to put in the spring. We got to put in this piece here, the retainer, I guess you call it. So I just put them together like this. Now, I don't know if I can get this all on video, but I pull up the valve. Actually, let me just take that valve completely out. And I'm going to put the spring in here. Now, if you see up there, let me move my light here. It's got to get over the part that comes down, the valve guide there. I got the other one in already, but you basically got to put the spring in there over top of the valve guide, which takes a little bit of time. Okay, so I got the spring in there. I ended up taking a screwdriver underneath the valve like this and just prying it and pushing it over to get it in where it needs to be. So now I'm going to put my valve in from above. Okay, it's in a position where the cam is got it open right now. Let's see, actually. Okay, so I've got the spring in, I've got the valve in. Now we need to compress the spring and try to put these two little keepers on there, which is not easy. To me, this is the hardest part about putting this whole engine together, is getting these two keepers on that valve. So what I do is I take this screwdriver, try to get underneath this valve, which is not easy. I might need two screwdrivers to do this. Let's see, I'm prying the spring with one. I'm going to put this one underneath the actual thing there. Let's see, okay, so I got it under the screwdriver. At this point, I take a block of wood because my valve spring compressor isn't quite big enough. It's just a piece of 3/4 inch pine. And I put it right on top of the valve up there. I take my valve spring compressor here, which I just bought at an auto parts store. It's a KD Tools machine. I think it cost me about 10 bucks. But you basically got to get this in here under the spring. This is tricky because you got to try to get it under the screwdriver. There we go. Okay, I'm going to pull my screwdriver out. Okay, so we got that under the spring, and then you crank down on the top here, and it will compress that spring. Okay. Oh, I actually don't have it on there right. It's hard to do this holding this camera, so I'm going to take it out and fix it. I'll be right back. Okay, now I've got the valve spring compressor properly seated under the valve. So I'm just going to crank this down, which will pull up on the spring. Get as tight as you can because there's not much room to work with in here. Now you can see underneath there that the valve spring is compressed up, and you'll see in there, it's hard to see in the video, but there's one little slot that those two keepers have to go in. And what I find is that if you put a little bit of grease on those keepers, that's about your only way possible to get them in that hole. So I'm just going to take one of these keepers here, and I'm just going to dip it in this little can of grease here. Just get a little bit of grease in it so maybe it can stick in there. And let's see, I'm going to put it in here. I was taking the screwdriver and trying to position it back here. Let's see. Not easy. Let's see. There we go. That one's in. I'll take my other one here. I'll go dip it in my grease. Don't really need a ton of it. That's more than enough. And I'll put this one in here. Oops. This is hard, like I said. I have a lot of patience with these things. Okay, so I will push this one in. Let's see if I can get it in place. Okay, so I've got both keepers in place. Okay, they're being held up by the grease. At this point, you need to very carefully take the tension off this valve spring. Okay, I took the tension off the valve spring. Now I'm going to turn my crankshaft here and we'll see if they're in place. Yeah, they appear to be. I'm just going to press it up with the screwdriver, make sure that it's in the groove. There we go. You need a little bit of a push there. She should be in there perfectly now. Yeah, she's in there. Alright, now these valves on this 8-horse Kohler are not adjustable. In order to adjust these valves, the valve stems have to be ground to get the right clearance. Now, when I got this motor here from the machine shop, he already did that for me, so I didn't have to worry about that. But as you machine the block here, and that valve surface sinks down, essentially your valves are going to be too long if you're not putting new ones in, or even if you are, you have to grind the bottom off the valve stems down here to make them shorter so that they have the proper clearance. So at this point, our valves are done. So what we actually could do is get all the valve cover gaskets on and everything. I'm not going to do that yet. I have to paint them first. But that's about it.